All right. Do you have some sign up, Ashley? Okay. But I will call. Is there anyone wishing to address the board this evening? Okay. Oh, no, he's a public, that's next. Okay, so now we'll go to number 4 then. Public hearing. Ian Ray, come on up. My bad.
Do I just sit right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if you want to move her in, that is good.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all for having me here. The city is looking at revising its tax abatement policy or program as it relates to new construction housing. And as we were looking at that, we were also considering making changes that would also include rehabilitation of existing properties. Last week, the council had approved some policy changes to our program where we would go from 100% 5 years for new construction only down to 3 years 100% on new construction for single family and duplex homes. But if they wanted an additional 3 years at 50%, they would have to do something that would be considered like infill, density, low to moderate income, or it would have to be a very high standard of green efficiency above the normal building standards. So instead of 4-inch walls with like R13, it would have to be 6-inch walls with R20, but then also on the outside, the 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch styrofoam around the outside as well. As just one example of what they would have to add. And part of this has to do with our climate change policy that we've adopted, where we want to incentivize things where people use less energy. So in part it's that. Also, it's just when we're looking at other options, such as anything from solar panels, electric vehicle charging stations, all of that, it provides a little bit of incentive for somebody to go that extra mile. But again, it's going to be at 50% for the 3 years. So in total, to contrast the existing is you build anything, you get 5 years at 100%. This one you get 3 years at 100%, then 3 years at 50%. However, there is the addition of multifamily. Now, if anyone's been paying attention right now, we're going through basically, we do have a shortage of housing of both market rate, slightly subsidized, and heavily subsidized rental units. We had a study that showed even after the 2 major projects with the 48 units at Unique on Front Street and the 50 units at the old Marketplace, we're still 300 units short of where we need to be for rentals to meet with workforce demands and just the general demand. So we wanted to incentivize multifamily units more. So we did put that in there where it was, I believe, 6 years with the ability of getting an additional 6. I don't have it right in front of me, so it's so pardon me if I do misspeak on some of the terms. But again, that would be 6 years at 100%, and I believe 6 years at another 100%. But they would also have to do, again, they'd have to meet some of those qualifiers: dense, infill, low to moderate income, green technology, to get the additional amount. Then on something entirely new would be the rehabilitation of existing properties. Now, these are just not any property where someone has an existing house or a building and they just replace a roof or some windows. These are going to be more extensive, where they actually have to increase the taxable value 25% or more to generate enough increment for that to even be abated. Now, when we're dealing with blight in properties that have lower values, so someone take a $20,000 house, put some money into it, it will not be very hard for them to reach that 25%. But somebody that has maybe a $200,000 house that's just doing some basic items to it, it's going to be a lot harder for them to reach that 25%. So what that is doing is that's targeting the ones that either are already in poor condition or that could fall into poor condition, that might be more of a moderate condition or in a more modest neighborhood, and putting significant improvements into that to up the value of that property, but then also, when that gets done, it also helps stabilize some of the existing property around it as well. So that's why there is the 6 years plus the ability to do an additional 6 on a single family, and I believe for multifamily, it was 9 years with the ability to do additional 3 for those properties. If they do those other features, again, doing the additional amount for the energy efficiency, or it's infill, historic district, qualified census tract, low to moderate income, things of that item. So what prompted these changes is that there are I think reasonable question as to whether or not how effective the old policy was in granting a total of 5 years at 100%. As opposed to, would they have been built anyway? A few of them that we know, it did highly incentivize people to actually start construction, but we don't know that with the, I'd say, approximate 40 over the last 5 years that have been done. Excuse me. Would the majority of them still been done anyway? So we did have some serious questions about that and its effectiveness, so that's why we added some of the other pieces. So we reduced the base amount, but then added those other pieces in there too that would have some sort of public benefit back to them.
So the hearing tonight is on the 7 properties that are under the old plan for 5 years, which expires this month. So that will expire here in December, and that's what Ian has been talking about tonight, is the city's looking at replacing it with the plan that he just briefed the board with. And I don't know where the county's at on this, but this is something that we can talk about sometime in the next month or two as a district here.
So then, Ian, if they qualify then for the 5-year now, is that something they could change into the future, into the 6-year and things like that?
No.
They're in, okay.
No, there is something in there where the property cannot reapply for the tax abatement for 25 years if they've already been approved. So that was added as a result of, which I do have to send the superintendent here, the revised version that council did adopt last week. So so we just got that revised and signed, so I will be sending that out, but we did add in 25 years. And the one that you're doing right now, it is for applications that came in before the change, which this changes at the first of the year. So it's all set, because the current policy expires December 31st of this year. So it's being replaced with a new one that will start January 1. So what I'm referring to is the January 1 start date.
So the ones tonight will go under the current, okay.
Yeah. So.
Was there any concerns with that by doing those now and we're waiting, or is it better to get those off the books and done?
Those that had expressed interest around the last couple of months that I've talked to our office, we've made them aware of the changes, and so some have made sure that they came in and got the applications in before the changes occurred.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Yep.
Okay, then that brings us to the approval of today's agenda, and I would look for approval of today's agenda. Oh, I'm sorry. Megan.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm the and on your agenda, let's see. I'm the and Clark Street East Abatement Project. I'm the second half of.
You're the second half. Go for it. You are the and. Gotcha, Megan. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So thank you. As we discussed when I was here in November, we were working on a redevelopment project of 20 to 22 market rate apartments at 137 East Clark, which is locally known as the VFW building. The total redevelopment project is estimated to cost between $2.6 and $3 million. And due to the increased cost in rehabbing historic structures or meeting historical standards, developers have requested a subsidy or incentive of a 10-year tax abatement period. Attached in your agenda and packet material for tonight is a resolution approving a 10-year tax abatement from year 2024 to 2034 for the school's share of property taxes in an amount not to exceed $32,608 or roughly $3,458 annually. And this is based on findings that the redevelopment of the VFW is not feasible without the abatement. The redevelopment to be assisted by the abatement is likely to encourage additional development or redevelopment in the area. The redevelopment would generate significant tax revenues after the termination of the abatement because the minimum market value of the property after completion is projected or is estimated to be over $1 million, $1.14 million, whereas the current value market of the property right now is $104,000. Also, the redevelopment will provide employment opportunities in the community. The project will promote redevelopment of an underutilized and aging historical facility and prevent the spread of blight. And the project will provide access to service for residents by expanding available housing stock. The City Council did vote to approve this abatement resolution at their meeting last Monday, and it's also on the Freeborn County Board of Commissioners meeting for tomorrow. If and when all three entities approve this resolution, our next step will be to draft a 4-party agreement, and I would expect to finalize that in the spring. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. And so then this is on the resolution for a vote later in the agenda. Okay, thank you.
All right. Sorry, Megan, but thanks for coming on up. Okay, look for number 5 as approval of today's agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose the same sign. Thank you. Number 6 is our consent items, and those are listed, and you've had a chance to take a look at those, and I would look for a motion to approve our consent items.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, there is a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose the same sign. Motion carries. Okay, 7 reports. 7.1 Superintendent Dr. Funk's report.
Nothing to report tonight.
Okay, thank you. All right, and 7.2 school board members. We'll start Bruce's side. Bruce, go ahead.
I've been fortunate enough to attend a couple fundraisers for the high school band or high school chorus that's going to be going to Europe this summer, I believe Austria and Germany. It's nice to see young people out there working to raise funds for their trip. Kudos should go to Diane Haney for planning a trip like this and taking these kids on that. Some of these kids may never have another chance to travel abroad like that, so kudos should go to her. And then January 4th is the kickoff of the Teacher of the Year, so it will be it's a real interesting process to watch.
Thank you. Jill?
There was no Family Services Collaborative meeting in December, but I will share with you some notes from an update from our facilitator, Jenny Hendrickson. The Youth E-Cigarette Prevention and Cessation Initiative Community Grant application was submitted in November, and some touching letters of support were received from our link crew leaders and students. If awarded, the grant would start in March of next year. The collaborative will no longer be funding head lice supplies for the district. However, if it is awarded a certain local grant for which it has applied, it will fund the supplies one last time this year. Youth groups in each of the schools are addressing various topics by providing peer-to-peer education and mentoring. They're in full swing of planning events moving into the spring. And then at our upcoming February meeting, we'll be talking about recommendations regarding the parent-coach position. Just before this meeting, I was able to listen to the closed session of November 9th, so that was very informative. Also, my requests for additions to the agenda have not yet been responded to, and I have unanswered questions from the chair and administration.
Okay, thank you. Neil?
Thank you. I've been involved in three groups in the negotiation process, starting with the custodians, had a number of meetings with them, the paras and the teachers, and there are some challenges there, but it's an interesting process, and I'm confident that both sides are coming to the table properly equipped with good attitudes, so I'm looking for good outcomes. As did Jill, I caught up on the November 9th closed session that I missed. I also missed a curriculum committee meeting because it was called off, I think it was last week, because it was just too many conflicts at this time of the year. So that will be postponed. That's it. Thank you.
Kim?
Thank you. I attended the Business Ed Committee meeting with the Chamber. I had Ashley send all of you data update from DEED, and so that might be good information for you to take a look at. January is actually Healthcare Focus Month with DEED, so you'll see some emphasis in healthcare workforce. Also, there's work-based learning initiatives that are happening, and so hopefully we'll be able to start working on that as we can get back into businesses and work with them. Significant collaboration between higher education, business, and secondary will be the focus of that work-based learning. And then something that's going to be offered through a grant that Riverland received is Poverty Be the Difference. Riverland faculty, staff, and administrators are being trained as by the Poverty Institute, and so they'll be going out into the communities and working with agencies and organizations, just having the conversations around poverty in our communities. And then I attended the Education Foundation meeting. We did thank Jean Eaton for her service. She's been on the board for 6 years, and her term is up, and so she'll be going off, and she served that board very well, so we thank her for that. Also, we reviewed the foundation structure and plan to have a strategic planning session in this spring sometime. And then we're also going to research if other districts have this ability to have a partner like a foundation, if districts our size have that, or if we're unique that way. Us around the table didn't really know that, and so I'm going to be researching that. And then Neil and a couple other members met with the high school on scholarships, and Neil's actually going to be part. So to keep the communication open, he'll be part of that group that meets. And then the Greater Albert Lee Education Project met. I was not able to go, but they did send me notes, and there was conversations about what needs are out there. John Double leads that meeting. That is that, if you remember, that's that transfer. It used to be under the foundation umbrella, and now the school district has that. We did talk about the potential of some Perkins funding that would help those efforts. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Yep, thank you. Dennis?
I also attended the Business Ed meeting. Kim covered that. So that was really the only meeting this month. We did not have a policy meeting this month, so that's it.
All right, thank you. I had an opportunity to be part of the MSBA Delegate Assembly for my second year. And we reviewed over the last several months 24 different resolutions that we vote on to set them off to the state legislature as recommendations for them to vote on as they call themselves into session. Had an opportunity to go to our high school winter band concert, which was awesome, a hockey game and a girls' basketball game, so it's fun to be able to get out and see some of the new things going on and the kids performing well. And that would be it. Esther's not here. Therese?
I don't really know what I'm doing here.
The red light means it's on. Red light is
I don't see a red light over here. Oh, okay. Okay, sure.
It's always on us.
Okay.
Is yours on, Bruce?
Well, anyways, my name is Therese Netzer. I teach 11th and 12th grade English at the high school. Mr. Score's class, actually. I get to teach that now. Miss Western Humanities, I get to have that. It's wonderful. I also am an instructional coach most of my day. So I see the classroom from those two sides, I guess. The big thing for us is break is coming, and we are very ready for that. It was amazing to have last Wednesday to work. It was so funny, you know, I had talked to teachers of how they felt about the day. Obviously, I already knew how they felt, but they said they just couldn't wait to have quiet and just get to focus. And I think that's the big thing that we're seeing is it's hard to be able to focus when there are a lot of student needs that are, you know, pressing and right there. It's hard to get a lot done. And at the high school, we've been subbing a lot, so it was really lovely to have that day to just work, and we really appreciated that. I think, too, for students, that was a great day. We heard a lot of positive feedback. Mr. Dibble collected some data from students, so he can share that with you if you want to hear that, too, but I think it was a much-needed day overall. We have PD days coming up in January. That should be fantastic, too. We just got our schedule, and I think that will be an exciting time to get to think about the first semester and moving on to second semester, and do some HRS Level 2 stuff, which is really exciting because that's getting into good teaching practices, and we're looking forward to that.
Thank you very much. Okay, that will move us on to number 10, the effective and efficient operations. 10.1, resolution establish the combined polling places for certain multiple precincts and designating hours. Dr. Funk.
This is a procedural motion tonight. We're required to do it every year, as next year's a general election year, and we have no plans for anything on the ballot for the school district. We will not be doing our own election, but we still do this on an annual basis. This matches actually what we just did in November.
I move approval.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
And a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose the same sign. Okay, 10.2 is the resolution approving the property tax abatement for the Clark Street East LLC. Dr. Funk.
Megan was just here from the city, and I think she was here in November as well to talk to the board about this project. You know, the abatement over the 10-year period would be $32,608. Now, just something of significance for everybody to note. Okay, these properties would be abated for that amount of money, but the district will still be collecting that money. It'll just be spread out on the other taxpayers in the district. So we're not short $32,000 for this. Okay, so that's an important thing to recognize.
Okay.
That follows the pattern that right now those properties aren't collecting anyway. So we're getting them market ready, valued, and then within 10 years, listed, then we would start, the community would start collecting those dollars.
Correct. I don't remember the exact numbers that Megan provided, but she said the property's somewhere in the realm of $100,000 now, and it'll be, 1.4 million. So long-term, this is be a significant improvement for the community.
I'll move to approve the resolution for the property tax abatement for Clark Street East.
Okay, and a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose the same sign. And 10.3, Dr. Funk for another resolution for property tax.
As we had the public hearing and Ian came up and spoke from the city, this is the last month of the current tax abatement program. We have these 7 properties that are on the books for abatement, and I'm asking the board to approve them like they have done so many others. And again, once again, the abatement's for 5 years for this group.
Okay. We got a motion made by Neil to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Bruce is second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose the same sign. Okay, motion passes. Just one announcement, Monday, January 3rd at 5 p.m. is our special meeting for reorganization. And everyone have a safe and happy holidays. Thank you for coming tonight.